September 1780. British East India Company troops are pinned down at the Battle of Pollilure. Suddenly, the sky streaks with screaming fire. The projectiles slam into the earth, whirling erratically across the ground. Horses panic, ammunition carts explode, and the British lines break. The British were facing a weapon they couldn't comprehend. Until this moment, military rockets used fragile casings made of paper or bamboo. But here, the explosive powder is packed inside a hammered, soft iron tube. That iron casing changes the physics of the weapon. It tightly contains the combustion, generating massive thrust. Instead of a short, weak arc, these heavy projectiles could travel up to 2 kilometers. To understand why this weapon existed, look at the map. By the late 18th century, the British East India Company was rapidly absorbing the Indian subcontinent, securing trade monopolies and displacing local powers with superior military numbers. But one stronghold in the south refused to fold: the Kingdom of Mysore, led by a highly educated, fiercely ambitious ruler named Tipu Sultan. He knew he couldn't beat the British with raw manpower alone. If he wanted to save his kingdom, he had to out-engineer the most formidable military machine on the planet. Engineering a resistance requires serious capital, and Tipu ran Mysore like an aggressive enterprise. He poured resources into the domestic economy, building out extensive road networks to connect distant cities and accelerate internal trade. He completely overhauled the state's administration. He introduced a new calendar and minted an entirely new currency system with custom denominations designed to standardize markets across the region. He even sent experts abroad to study silk cultivation, launching the Mysore silk industry from scratch. These economic maneuvers paid off. Under his rule, agricultural and textile revenues surged, and Mysore overtook Bengal as the dominant economic power in India. All of this newfound wealth flowed directly back into his military. He took his father's early rocket prototypes and industrialized them. He established dedicated rocket brigades known as Kushuns, scaling up the force to 5,000 highly trained rocketeers. Because he built an independent, self-sustaining economy, Tipu Sultan was not reliant on outside suppliers. He had the money and the manufacturing base to build a domestic war machine capable of halting British expansion. The British recognized the danger. During the Third Anglo-Mysore War in 1790, they neutralized Tipu's technological edge by mobilizing overwhelming numbers, forming alliances with the Maratha Empire and the Nizam of Hyderabad to surround Mysore. The siege tactics worked. To save his capital, Tipu was forced to sign a punishing treaty. He lost half his territory and had to hand over 2 of his young sons as hostages to ensure he paid a massive war indemnity. Fighting a localized war was a losing battle. To permanently break the East India Company's grip, he needed to turn a regional conflict into an international one. He sent ambassadors across the world, seeking military alliances with the Afghan Durrani Empire, the Ottoman Sultan in Constantinople, and the French Republic. And in France, a young Napoleon Bonaparte saw a strategic opportunity. When Napoleon invaded Egypt in 1798, he had an explicit goal in mind. He wrote to the French Directory with a plan to secure Egypt, march a force of 15,000 men across the Middle East, and link up with Tipu Sultan to drive the English out of India. Tipu's diplomacy transformed Mysore into a strategic focal point. For the British, the campaign had evolved from a regional trade dispute into a defense against a potential French invasion of India. But the French reinforcements never arrived. Napoleon's eastern campaigns stalled, leaving Mysore isolated. In the spring of 1799, a massive coalition of British and Allied troops descended on Tipu's capital city for the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Even then, the fortress might have held, but key ministers within Tipu's own administration secretly collaborated with the British. They disobeyed orders and intentionally weakened the defensive walls, giving the invading army a clear path to breach the city. French military advisors urged Tipu to escape through secret passages and rebuild his forces elsewhere. He refused. He despised the British occupation, famously declaring that it was better to live one day as a tiger than 1,000 years as a sheep. He fought directly on the front lines and was killed defending the Holy Gateway. When his body was found in the aftermath, the British commanding general looked at the fallen ruler and declared, "Now, India is ours. As the dust settled, British troops looted the city's armories. Inside, they found exactly what had been terrorizing them for decades: thousands of iron-cased rockets, fully intact, stored alongside the specialized tools used to mass-produce them. The British shipped these weapons back to London. There, an engineer named William Congreve studied the Mysorean design and reverse-engineered it. The resulting Congreve rockets quickly became a staple of the British military, raining down on battlefields throughout the Napoleonic Wars and the War of 1812. While his domestic policies remained debated, Tipu's focus on iron-cased rocketry provided the direct inspiration for the British artillery that followed. By industrializing the metal cylinder, he established the technological bridge between ancient fire arrows and modern military rocketry.